Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Intrusive Thoughts by Adam Rippon. And you guessed it, I'm Adam Rippon. I hope you guys are all doing fantastic, doing well. I'm doing great. I really am. And so I want to start the show today. So recently there's this news of Stephen Colbert's Late Show that they're not renewing it and it's going to be over. And it makes me really sad because I love Stephen Colbert. I've always loved Stephen Colbert. I've always been a really big fan of his. And in my post-Olympic media tour, his show was one of my favorite stops that I ever made. And I just have to say that one, I think he's so funny. And two, he was so nice to me. And not only nice to me, he made sure that he met my brother that was with me and one of my best friends who was with me. And he's just a really great guy. And the whole situation of everything about it just feels so weird. It feels so awful. And there's been this rallying of other late night hosts who have obviously shown their support for Stephen Colbert. Which I think is fantastic. I think it's great. And I think that he's really well respected, in that community. I mean, he's, like I said, he's one of the smartest. He's one of the funniest. And that being said, one of the guys who's obviously, speaking up and, standing up for Stephen is Jimmy Fallon. And I think it's great that Jimmy Fallon is, saying something and supporting Stephen, but I'm not going to go into it, but I am just going to say, and my dog is shaking because he knows what I'm about to say. I'm going to say that I will literally never forget before the 2016 election when Jimmy Fallon had Donald Trump on his show and he tousled his hair and they joked around. And I'm just going to say I'm not going to forget that. And so when I see him making jokes and whatever and, doing his Donald Trump impression, I'm like, dude, you were playing with his fucking hair a few years ago. And so that's all I really need to say about that. But it's been this weird taste in my mouth where it's I love to see the rallying and obviously all of the support that Stephen Colbert is getting. But when I see Jimmy Fallon, and I don't know Jimmy Fallon, I've never met him, but I always think you really went out of your way to make sure Donald Trump was on your show before the fucking presidential election. And you played with his hair while he was literally talking shit about everybody. Whatever. On to lighter topics. Yeah, we touch on the heavy ones. But we also touch on the lighter ones. One of the stories I want to tell today, kind of unprompted, is impromptu. Is I mentioned that my husband's away, which is why I have free reign of the house. I'm in my dining room. Beautiful. I'm in my dining room because it's just me, home alone, Macaulay Culkin. That's me. Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm home alone. And I've mentioned that when I am home alone, I'm trying to do all of these little tasks around the house that would truly drive my husband to the divorce attorney immediately. The ink would be wet on the paper. He'd be handing it over to me if he saw the way that I am deep cleaning everything. One, I think it's necessary. Sorry, it's a necessary evil because it is evil to deep clean your house. It's an evil experience to do that. And when I say deep clean, I mean I'm pulling everything out of every drawer, every shelf. I'm wiping it down, sometimes with fucking rubbing alcohol. I want it to smell like a hospital in here before the patients come in, right? I know it's sounding like I've never been to a hospital before where it's what do you think? The patients all come out and then they come back in? No, they're always there. Okay, hospital, bad example. I want it to smell like a sterile waiting room at a pediatrician's office. How about that? Before they open. Haven't been to a pediatrician in about, I'll say it, 30 years. So I don't even know why I'm making that. I just want it to smell clean. Okay, I'll move on. The reason I am saying this is because it leads me to, there's been a lot of like little loose ends around the house that I'm trying to tie up that like you got to get messy to get clean for some of these things. For instance, something small, something little is like one thing, JP, he's a designer. So he loves to like decorate our home. And when I say that, I mean, he loves to like move things all the time. So like sometimes a painting will be up and then I'll go upstairs for about 55 seconds and I'll come downstairs and all of the art will be like in different places. And because of this, there's like little nail holes that we haven't like patched up and like painted over, right? And they're like so minimal that you can't see them. So like it doesn't bother us that they're there. But like those are some of the little loose ends that I'm going around the house and I'm like spackling the holes shut. I don't really know the correct terminology of what I'm doing, but I'm spackling the holes shut. Let's just roll with it. And I'm spackling the holes shut. And then there's like little marks in the bathroom where it's like somebody hit the wall and like a little paint chip. So I'm preparing to like do all these like little touch-ups because like I hate having those little loose ends. I see them all the time and I always think, I'll get to it. I never do. Because I know I'm going to have to like get into the garage and get a ladder and then get the paint and then get like I'm going to have to do a whole production where like I know my husband would be like, just leave it. But you know what? He's not here. And that means there are no rules and I can do whatever I want. And that is going to be one of the things I do. That's not what I'm going to talk about because I'm going to talk about something else. Still in the vein of like doing like little tasks and errands around the house. Now, I want to paint a picture for you. I'm doing a clean in this moment. This is maybe like 2 years ago that I did what I'm about to tell you that I did. I did what I did, as they say in the movies. So what did I did? Well, I did this. I was cleaning the bathroom and I love like a dish and like a decorative tiny bowl, right? I'm always thinking of the guests in the powder room, right? In my like little half bathroom downstairs. I used to have this like little marble dish because I thought, wouldn't it be so darling if there was a little dish that someone could put their rings or, a watch or something if they wanted to like wash their hands and not have to like keep their rings on. So I had this like little marble dish that I got from Target. Target has some good marble stuff. It's heavy and that's going to come into play pretty quickly. So I decided that I was going to clean the bathroom. So I'm like cleaning the bathroom. I'm cleaning the sink. I'm wiping off this little like marble dish from Target and it slips out of my hands and I drop it into the sink. No big deal, right? I drop it into the sink. What could happen? Well, I'll tell you, I cracked the sink. Okay. I have like these, porcelain sinks, like they're not, like the same material as a toilet. Okay. And so this cracked, this heavy marble from Target, Italian slab. I'm sure it's not Italian slab. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to ask the manager at Target. I don't know. I'm not going to ask. It's marble from Target. We don't need to elaborate on it. So I drop it, I crack the sink, and I'm like, well, fuck. Okay, so that's not good. And I'm thinking, I'll figure out like what can I do? Like there's got to be some sort of solution. I can't be the only person that's ever like cracked a sink. And the thing about these sinks is like you'd think it would be like an easy fix. And, it's not cheap, but I'm like, how much is the sink? It's like $150 or something. I'm like, I'll just replace the sink. Like, what fucking ever. It's better than looking at the stupid crack. Now, the thing about these sinks is that they're like installed underneath. So they're like, it's like the countertop and then there's like a hole cut out, but the sink is like installed underneath and like underneath the sink. Now, the problem is, and I've had like a few different like contractors come to the house. Well, one, I was like, I'll just do it myself. And then I didn't want to deal with the headache of most likely being under the sink and having it hit me in the head. So I didn't want to deal with the literal head ache that I would most likely endure from trying to fix it myself. And I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I thought I'd leave it to a professional. So every contractor that came in was like, okay, unfortunately, nobody can guarantee that like the countertop won't crack. So the best way to go about this is like you have to rip out the whole vanity. Okay, well, I'll just wait on it. So I've just been like, okay, I'll wait on it. Now, not like 1 or 2 weeks later, I'm cleaning the bathroom upstairs, like in our bedroom. And I used to think this is so cute, right? Like I had such a cute idea. And I took like a whiskey decanter, a crystal whiskey decanter. Now I got this one at, let's say it together, TJ Maxx. Sometimes you can get nice crystal at TJ Maxx. Or maybe it was Home Goods. It doesn't matter. It's literally the same scheme. Different name. It was Home Goods, actually. So I got this beautiful crystal whiskey decanter and I put my mouthwash in it and I put that like on the counter in my bathroom. I got to tell you, it was quite genius. It looked gorgeous. And so I used to have the mouthwash in this like whiskey decanter on the bathroom counter. Really riveting episode so far, by the way. I think we could nominate this one for a Peabody. I'll continue. And so I'm cleaning the decanter and I take like the glass topper and I'm like wiping it off and Butterfingers drop it into my sink. So we have like double sinks upstairs. Drop it into my sink. And what happens? I crack that sink too. Yeah. So I have 2 cracked sinks. And so I didn't even like look into, getting this one fixed. I didn't even look into it because I'm like, okay, you're going to have to rip out the whole vanity. And like now I'm looking at like some multiple $1,000 project because of a stupid fucking crystal decanter from Home Goods and a marble dish from Target. So the sink upstairs, and believe me, there's absolutely going to be no payoff to this story. It's just kind of me ranting and whatever. Go with me. Okay. So the thing about the sink upstairs, I crack it. It's superficial. Nothing's leaking. But the crack in the powder room down here, that cracked through. So if you like splash a lot of water, it's not easy to do it. And the crack is like high up, not near the drain. Luckily, thank God. And so if you splash a lot of water on it, it'll like seep through, like the crack, it will drip. I mean, if you're getting water all the way up to like, it's basically like, it's like a rounded edge, right? So if you're getting water up there, like you're basically making a bird bath. So nobody should be getting water up there, but still it's cracked. Okay. I say to myself, there's got to be a solution. I can't be the only person that's ever cracked a porcelain sink and doesn't want to replace it. There has to be some sort of like easy fix or solution to this. And so I do a little bit of digging and I do find a solution. Okay. And the solution is that you can get this like epoxy fiberglass sort of like resin paint, and it dries like white and it supposedly looks like porcelain. And I am like, you know what? Worst case scenario, like it doesn't go well. And, I'm going to have to deal with the cracked sink eventually at one point or another. But let me try this like fiberglass epoxy situation. Let me just see how like that goes. And so I lightly kind of glaze through the directions. I don't read them very thoroughly. I'll be honest about that. And I kind of see like there's a few like hazy black and white photos in the instructions of like how to use this. Like, please read. I'm like, I know how to read. I just don't want to. In this moment, I want to get to it. I want to work. And I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty and figure this out, tactily, manually. And so I decide I'll figure it out as I go. And I'm going to read the directions as we do that because I'm sort of a learn as you go kind of guy. So I put a little glob of this paint fiberglass situation into the crack, and I'm supposed to like smooth it out or something or whatever. Whatever happened, I didn't read it clearly, and I let it dry too quickly or something, whatever. Now, what does that mean? It basically means that I fixed the crack, but now I had this like lumpy white situation like in the sink, and it didn't look good. It looked like I had like a dry glob of paint in the sink. This is not a big deal, right? Like it's not that big of a deal. And so I like to do like paintings, and I like to paint and draw and whatever. I'm not particularly like very good, but I like to do it. And so I thought, I have an artistic mind. Why don't I put that to use? And so I had this vision, and I want you to just kind of close your eyes and see it with me. And the vision was that I was going to use this fiberglass paint throughout the entire sink. And I've seen like artists do this like on Instagram where they take like a very thick medium of paint or whatever, and they like put it on a canvas, and then like, it's very textured. And so in my mind, I thought, I'll take this fiberglass paint, and what I'll do is I'll make like flower petals, right? I've never done this before. I've never been trained to do this. I've never really even kind of seen it, but it's like this vision I've had in my mind. And I'm like, it's going to be really beautiful. And I bet, and I'm really like hyping myself up, and I'm saying like, I really think that maybe this will come out so well that I'll do all the sinks in this like beautiful, like petaled flower. I'm thinking it's going to look like pottery, like from the kiln. Like it's going to be gorgeous. A glazed kiln terracotta pot. Like it's just going to look so beautiful. And so I go, you know what the hell? Let's just like get to it. And so now I'm really not reading the directions at all, because the directions don't say to make a beautiful flowered pattern with this epoxy. Like it's to like very slyly fix a crack, right? Not to like make a patterned, work of art, mosaic. And so I get started, and it's starting to get like a little messy, but like I think I can keep it together. And then I'm doing it more and more, and it's really, 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 I'm begging you to believe me, not shaping up at all. It's looking pretty bad. And so I'm thinking, all right, you know what? Why don't I just try to clean this up? So I get some paper towels. Truly one of the greatest inventions. I just get the paper towels and I go, all right, I'll just gonna start to like wipe this up. Not so fast, because even though I had waited maybe about 2 seconds, it was starting to dry. And so at this point, I'm wiping up the paper towel, epoxy fiberglass disaster, and it's sticking to it and it's drying. And I do this for about 30 minutes before I say to myself, I think I'm going to have to call it. I think I'm going to have to tap out of this one. And so for about a year plus, and that hardened. Okay, so that horrible situation that I just said of it started out as a flower pattern, and then just imagine it turned into like whatever it would look like if you ran a paper towel through a bunch of like toothpaste and then left it for about a year. So my beautiful, very standard to the home white porcelain sink for the past year and a half has looked like it's been covered in dried Colgate toothpaste, crusted over with like little pieces of paper towel peeking out of it. Like it is so awful. It's bad. It's bad. That being said, it's hard as hell, right? Like it's not leaking anymore. So it's completely functional, but it's so ugly and it's embarrassing. because it just looks like I don't clean the house. Like it looks like I brushed my teeth in there like 5 times a day, just like spit in the sink and move on for the past year. And so that's one of the projects that I'm working on right now, because there's been like little like weak points in the fiberglass that I can like pick off. I can pick it off. It's pretty good. So I can pick it off. But I finally like bit the bullet, and I'm like, how do you strip this motherfucker? And so, you know, I've seen how people strip furniture, like antiques, of like varnish. And I'm like, is it the same thing? So I thought, yeah, I'll try it. Why not? Again, not reading any directions. Just kind of going with it. You learn by failing and succeeding too. You learn by both. But, you know, I'm talking more about the failing, how I grew. So I've been using that like citrus stripper. I'm sure you've seen it, like if you've ever done sort of like home project of like taking a paint or a varnish off of something, or if you've seen something like on Instagram or TikTok or something, because I have, and it's kind of working. But I'll tell you, this thing is thick. So it's like you're supposed to let it sit for like 24 hours. And I've done so far 2 full 24-hour cycles. And now I'm doing a 48-hour one. And it's coming up, but there's like bits and pieces of it that are like quite stuck. But my husband has no idea that I'm going to strip this. So we'll see how it's going to look. But it already does like look better. Because the last time that, like, before I put the stripper, do you call it the stripping agent? Whatever. Before I put it on, I like cleaned it all up to just like get a good, like the bird's eye view of like, what does it look like now? And it just looks like you've been spitting in the sink with like some toothpaste for about a month, right? Which is still absolutely fucking vile, but it's not like a year. Like it's the communal sink that I have all the neighbors come over, and I'm like, well, just spit your toothpaste in this one. So it's getting better. We're on track to really make this house, as I said, rubbing it all with alcohol, make this house a hospital is what I'm on track to be doing. And if you are still listening to the podcast, God bless you. Give us 5 stars for that specific story, because it's important to me. Now, I was going to move on to the voicemails, but there's one more thing I have to get off my chest. Please don't turn this off yet. Give us 5 stars. It really helps people find the podcast. Yeah. Now, the story I want to tell is I mentioned this, and I know that I went a little bit too deep on it the last time, but I mentioned that I'm opening a medical spa, or I've been wanting to open one, and I have a friend that's a nurse, and we're going to do it together. And finding a location has been like quite the journey. It's been very hard. And, you know, you don't think it's going to be hard. You know, I've talked about this before. You don't think it's going to be hard because you'll drive down the street of like whatever, and you see tons of like for lease and like whatever. But then when you start to actually look for something like a commercial space, which I've never done before, so it's like a complete baptism by fire. It's like trying to use epoxy fiberglass resin in your sink for the first time. You learn as you go, and I've been learning as I go. And so it's been really challenging to like find a spot. But yesterday, I think I found something. And I'll tell you this. If you're going to open a medical spa, which I am, one of the things you need is like you need to have treatment rooms. And you need to have like plumbing in each of the rooms. You like need a sink for your nurses and all of your medical personnel to be able to like wash their hands and keep a cleanly space. And you also need to make sure that like all of these rooms have like HVAC, like the like air conditioning and everything, like that's at a certain quality and level and like circulating throughout the whole space. Because like you'll look at a space and you'll be like, it's perfect. I'll just put up a few walls. Well, then you don't think like, oh, I'm going to have to spend $20,000 to HVAC this. I don't know what? No, sorry. I can't take over the old coffee bean then. I'm going to tap out. Got to know when to tap out. And so, when I was looking for spaces in the beginning, I was like, oh, we'll just like build and do this. And it's like, you're not. And you got to, especially because it's going to be a new business. We never started it before, obviously, because I've been too busy using fiberglass in my sink and having the neighborhood spit in my fucking sink with their toothpaste mouth. So I've been trying to find a space that's like I have to do minimal to like no renovations. And yesterday I found one that it's like it's like in a building from the 70s. It looks very like cute and charming and like I love it. And everything inside is like basically brand new. And when I was talking to the agent, so when we got there, like I got there 2 minutes after my friend who I'm opening the business with, she got there before me. And then I got there, like 2 minutes later. I was on time, by the way, before you go, oh, he's late. Of course. No, I was on time. They were early. And so she told me that he was telling the story of, because I walked in and was like, oh, it's really interesting because like the floor is, okay, I'll say this. The floor is, they did not have like great taste. Okay. The floor is like gray wood tile. Really don't love that, but it's brand new. So you kind of can't knock it, right? You just got to bite the bullet on that one. It's a brand new tile floor. So it's very easy to keep clean and it's a nice floor. It's just like really ugly. I'm going to move on. I know this isn't interesting to anybody. I know. But I'm going to tell an interesting part. So it's like worth it for you to know. And then the sinks are like, they're brand new, like vanities in the room, and the bathroom is like brand new. Again, totally ugly, like baby blue, like truly no taste. And this would mean that I have to make literally no major renovations. Because another thing you don't think of is like, okay, yeah, I got to do the plumbing and the HVAC and all of this stuff. You not only have to do that, you have to apply for permits and you have to wait for the permits and then you have to get the contractor and get the contractor approved by it's a never ending list of things. So it's in my best interest that I find something that I don't need to do any permitting reno on. Okay. Stay with me, please, please, please. So I did find it interesting that everything was like redone. The plumbing was just all done. The flooring was brand new. Even like the tenant was out. So it was like an empty space. Even the walls were like completely perfect white, not a scuff on them, like nothing. And so what I found out was, and now it'll all come together about 30 minutes into the podcast, finally something interesting. This is for the lifers of the podcast of going, yeah, I knew what I should stick around. So why was everything done? Well, I'll tell you that in this specific space, there was a business that came in and said that we want to be a massage studio. And they were like, great, cool. So they built out the entire space. And then what did the owner of the building find out? I'll tell you. They found out that the massage business was a front for, and I was told this in quotes, illegal business. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. And I actually could literally give a shit what it means, because what it does mean is that somebody else paid for my plumbing. So whatever that means. So they got kicked out. So they never even moved into the unit, but they did all of the improvements and they got kicked out for lying about creating a fake massage business. But to keep up the charade, they did all of the improvements. And I know that the improvements are like done because the building owner like makes sure that they use their own contractor, like that they use the contractor approved by the building. So like these were done. It's not like they're like, yeah, we put a sink and it's like you touch it and it's all cardboard. It's like truly done. And it was because they were trying to do a different business. I'm dying, believe me, to know what this business was. What were they doing in there? A front for what? Riddle me fucking that. I'm so interested. I'll let you know if I find out what the front business was. Because I will say it's like a lot of effort. Like to do the plumbing, like just think about it, right? Plumbing isn't just like pipes. It's like they have to break the floor and do all of the floor, like the plumbing through the floor. This is like, I'm talking 30, 20,000. I've actually no idea. Let's just say $30,000 and permits and stuff like that. Like all of this stuff. So it's not cheap to do what they did for their illegal thing. So whatever it is, here's the thing. It's bad to do things that are illegal. It's good to do them if you get kicked out and then I can benefit from your misdoings. That's pretty good. And here's the thing. You might go, that's not nice. Well, if I'm not going to benefit from it, someone else will. Okay? That actually coming out of my mouth sounds horrible. Basically, I don't know what it is. I don't know what they did. I'll move on. Ooh, I'm getting hot. I'm sweating because it does now feel like I'm part of the crime, even though I have no idea what it is. And it's like it's a nice old building. Oh my God, I'm getting nervous now. Okay. I'm going to put my glasses on for a second. Whew, I'm getting hot. I'm not doing anything wrong. Someone else did something wrong and they paid the price. And now I'm going to pay the rent. That's how that will work. It's the life of living in a city. It's all good. It's all good. When I said it out loud, hit my head a little bit different. It's all good. Woo! I'm getting hot. Let's move on to a voicemail. Okay. Our first voicemail. Thanks for sticking around. I love you guys so much. Really, I do. And that's why this is called Intrusive Thoughts, because I let them just roll. Let the good times roll. Let the intrusive thoughts.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hi, Adam. Since you're asking for callers to call in again, here I am. I have one more question for you. Actually, more of a comment. So one of the qualities that you have that keep people coming back to your podcast is just your amazing sense of humor and the way that you can just describe these situations that happen to you in such a funny way. And you've had a few bizarre things happen to you, between the coyote incident and the phone falling into the plane, just to name a couple. One of the funniest things I've ever read in print is when you describe at the end of your autobiography how you forgot to take your name off the list of competitive athletes for drug testing. And if you could tell that story to the listeners in your own words, I think it would be a gift into the podcast world. Thank you. Have a great day.
To just start off, I want to say I'm honored. And I do love to just give a little extra flair to what might be a mundane story. Nothing's mundane in this life. Believe me, when you're making sync art and you're finding spaces that maybe mafioso used to try to put up a front of a massage business, right? Now that I'm thinking, maybe it was like I don't know. I'll find out. Maybe it's like, maybe I'm reading into it too much. Maybe it's just like they didn't, maybe they had to go. I don't know. Okay. To the voicemail. Now we're going to have to turn the page a little bit. So let's talk about drugs. And that's how I'm going to lead into being a part of the United States Anti-Doping Agency. So if you are an elite athlete with Olympic potential or with some sort of world standing in any sport that's like in the Olympics, you as an athlete will be put onto the US anti-doping like athlete list. Okay? And what that means is that you are in like a testing pool and your name is like added to this list of people who can be tested at random anytime throughout the year. And so when you're a competitive athlete who's trying to qualify for the Olympics or who's like internationally recognized, there's like some sort of like status internationally that when you break through, you become part of this like testing pool. And so what that means is this: you're going to submit your whereabouts every 3 months. And so what that means is I'm going to submit a calendar and I'm going to tell the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency where I'm going to be, my calendar specifically, when I'll be home, when I'll be at the rink, when I'll be at the gym. And I need to give this like detailed, like hour by hour account of where I'll be throughout the day for 3 months at a time. And if I stray from that schedule at all, I need to send an email and update my whereabouts that I will not be at this location tomorrow. I will be here instead and give the address. And so like anytime I'd go on a trip, I would send follow-up emails as well. It'd be like, okay, let's say I'm going to St. Paul, Minnesota, and I'm going to be staying at a hotel. So as soon as I know the dates of as soon as I know the dates of the trip, I send that I'll be in Minnesota. I say the name of the hotel and I say like all of those dates. And then when I get to the hotel and I check in, I send another email and I write that I'm at this hotel and this is the room number. So it gets that specific. And so you just do this because part of like the rules of being like an athlete is that you need to be available 24 hours a day to take a drug test at random. And it's not unusual that you'll get tested maybe once a quarter, right? So you could be tested 4 times a year at most. It's not, sometimes you'll get tested once a year or twice a year or 3 times a year, but there are times where it's like you just seem to be tested like once every quarter. It's completely random. And so that's how that works. And if you fail to like update your whereabouts properly and you are getting tested and you're like, oh, shit, I never updated my whereabouts. Like I'm not going to be there. So if you're getting randomly tested, somebody from the agency will call you and be like, we're going to be here. And so if you're not exactly where you are, you have 60 minutes to like meet them at your location to like figure out your shit. Like you got to be there before 60 minutes. It's pretty strict. Because sometimes, like, you know, you go to the grocery store or like whatever. It's like you don't need to be like, I'm going to the mall right now for 5 minutes. It's just you need big chunks of time, but you need to stay in proximity to like where you said you were going to be. Because if some doping agent calls you, it's like, okay, great. I have 30 to 60 minutes to get there and like we can do this. And so that's what it means to be like in the doping pool. And if you, let's say I did that Minnesota trip and I never updated my whereabouts and I get a call and they're like, where are you? And I say, I'm in Minnesota. I can't do the test. And they go, okay, that's 1 missed test. And then by the time you get 3 missed tests, it's considered a doping failure. And so that's considered like a failed test. 3 missed tests is like you get suspended. And it's happened multiple times. Not to me. Believe I've never had a missed test. No. I'd rather crack another sink and try to fix it with fiberglass paint than have a missed test on my record. So now that you know how like that works, now I'll tell you like a little bit more. So when you are tested, they present you with basically they come with like they're like little brown boxes that are like about like about the size of my head, right? Like a Game Boy controller. If you put like a Game Boy controller, I don't know why I'm like, my head is the size, like I'm bragging about like the petite size of my head being the size of a Game Boy controller. It's just like, it's a small box that 2 bottles go into, okay? And so what the doping agent will do is he'll pull out like 5 of these boxes, and they all have like random numbers on them. And he goes, pick one. And so, because I'm a boy, and there's always going to be a male with the male athletes and a female with the female athletes. And I'll get to why that happens in a second. So they put maybe 5 boxes in front of you, and they say, you pick one of the boxes. So you pick, they're all the same, right? But it's to show that like you had a choice of which one you were choosing. So you choose a box and you open the box up. Inside the box is a styrofoam box. So you take the styrofoam out and you open that. I'm like, have not thought about this in such a long time. You open the styrofoam box, and then in that are like 2 bottles, and one says A and one says B. And there's on the A bottle, there's a line like, and they're both the size of like a garlic powder, like little spice container. And so you have these 2 bottles, and they're identical except for A and B, and one is red, one is blue. And on the A sample, it's like a line that's like more than halfway up, and then on the B sample, there's a line that's less than halfway. And so you take these 2 bottles out, and they ask you to check the numbers. So you make sure that the number on the A bottle, the B bottle, and the box are all the same. All 3 numbers are the same. You say, okay, yes. So then what you need to do is you need to pee into these bottles. And you need to pee like more into the A, that's the main one, and then you need to like, there's less pee that you need in the B, because that's like if there's something wrong with the A sample, or if they need to retest or something, like they can always go to the B. And so when you do that, it's not as simple as like just going to the bathroom and be like, I'll be right back. No. Right? That's not how it goes. There's a little rhyme I'm going to teach you, and hopefully it gets stuck into your brain. And the rhyme is, from nipple to knee, I've got to see. And what does that mean? Well, that means that the doping agent who is with you will come with you to the bathroom, and they need to clearly see your naked body from the nipple to the knee. So you are standing in front of a doping agent like a toddler being potty trained, with your shirt all the way up to your nipples and your pants all the way down to your fucking ankles. Like, I'm gonna do a pee-pee. Like, that's what you look like in front of the agent. And they need to do this so that they can see that you're like not putting a fake sample into your like A and B like things. Okay? So you're standing there like a toddler who's going to pee-pee on the potty for the first time. And, I'm the shirt's like, I'm not like, the shirt I'm like tucking underneath my arm. I'm not taking the shirt. I'm not going to stand there like in the nude, right? So it's like you're trying to be as demure as like possible. So the arms are like holding the shirt up, and your knees are like buckling with the pants around the knees and slipping down to the ankle. What does it matter that like if it drops down to the ankles? But there's just something so like, to keep a little bit of decency, you try to keep the pants up by the knee, right? It feels crazy to have the pants go all the way down to the floor. It feels too intimate at that point. At least from nipple to knee, it feels like official. But like if you're wearing no shirt with like pants around the ankles, that feels like truly like, that feels insane. Don't ever do that. I never did that, by the way. So you do this, and then you have to pee into these like bottles. So you first pee into the A bottle, and then hopefully you have like enough pee and you can like continue to pee. It's not like they're like, 32 ounce hydro flasks. They're the size, like I said, of like a garlic powder. I don't know why I'm going with garlic powder, but you get it. You get the reference. And so you pee into this and you like pee. And another thing, let's say that like you just peed and then they're like, we're at the door. Well, they're going to stay with you until you have to pee again. And you're going to drink a ton of water. But the thing about it is that if your sample's too diluted, like if it comes out too clear, sometimes that's not a good sample and they have to stay even longer and watch you pee again. That's happened to me. I've spent like hours and hours with a doping agent. And so the way that works is like there's like employees who work for a U.S. anti-doping agency, and there's like a full list and they get a list like the day of. I think like this is just from my experience of like what I assume is they get a list of the week of all the athletes they need to go through like within a week period or something. Whatever. I know that like if he was finished with me early enough in the day, he'd go to another athlete. But if not, like that athlete would just get pushed on to the next day, whatever. And so I'm saying this is that because at this point, like I knew the guy that was coming to my house. He was the same agent who like worked for U.S. anti-doping in like my part of the country, in my part of Southern California. Like he would always come to me. His name was Emilio. And so at a few years into like him always being the agent that came, I ended up saving his number in my phone because it's also this random number and I don't want to miss the random number. So I saved Emilio's number on my phone. So I knew like, oh, Emilio's calling. I'm getting drug tested. Okay. So I danced this dance with Emilio for years, right? And we do this. We, nipple to knee. I pee in front of him. He needs to see the wee willy winky out, pointing at the bottle, peeing into the bottles. And so, okay, I'll show you. That's like how a good drug test is going to go, right? And so that means that then I take the bottles and there's this lid that you put on and you twist it until it locks, and you have to twist it until you hear like the click, 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 3 clicks. And you do that on both. And then after they do that, they like wipe off the bottle. They put it in like a plastic bag. They seal the bag on one bottle. They seal the bag on the other. They put it back in the styrofoam container. They tape that up, and then they put it back into the box. And then you sign a paper that like what time they came, how long that they were there. I've had Emilio at my house for hours. Like we've had coffee together, we've chatted because sometimes he's come and I've already peed. Like, okay. And there's nothing you can do. Like you just have to wait. And that's the name of the game. That's Emilio and I knew the drill at this point. All right, I'm not ready to pee, or like I just peed, or God, it's a diluted sample. We got to wait again. It happens. And once they like, if they're like, let's say they come at 3:00 in the afternoon and you just peed, and then you drink a lot of water, you give a diluted sample and you pee again like a few hours later, not good. They have to wait. They'll be with you for like 5 hours. They can't leave your sight. That's the other thing. Once they're with you, you're not allowed to like leave their sight. They have to follow you everywhere. And so, that's what that looks like. Once you do all, they, close the box, bye, thank you. And you like fill out a full paperwork, your name, like your everything, like any supplements you have been on, any like medications you might have taken, anything, everything. You write it down on this piece of paper, you sign it, they go. And then, if you've not been taking any drugs, you never hear from anybody about it again. And so the way that these tests work, and I'm going to get to the story, I promise, of like what I'm sure. I find this interesting. Maybe, hopefully you do. Okay. Give us 5 stars, right? It helps people find the podcast. I start crying. Now. Ooh, yes. Okay. They do all this. And so what happens is they send these bottles to the lab, right? And they get tested. And if there's an issue, then they look up the number on the bottle. And then they find out who to contact that there's been an issue with the sample. So they never know whose sample or what sample they're testing. So it's all completely random. So these bottles go to the lab just with numbers, not with like any sort of like identification of whose sample is in that. So that's how that works. Now, this all seems like pretty straightforward, right? And I was always very diligent about making sure I did the whereabouts properly and did like everything right. Because I'm a good little student, right? Like I as an athlete, you know, I liked to say some like crazy things, but I was always going to play by the rules. Okay. So it seems pretty straightforward. Okay, you just got to pee in front of, you know, this guy, whatever. Okay, whatever. So when you decide that you're going to retire from competition, one of the first steps to retiring is to have yourself removed from the U.S. anti-doping testing pool of athletes. And when you remove yourself from this, you're basically saying like, I'm not a competitive athlete anymore. I don't need to be randomly drug tested. I don't need to be in this like pool. And so after the Olympics, I was not even thinking about like the whereabouts or anything. But you have to submit them for the beginning of the year. So the Olympics are February. I've already submitted like whereabouts into like March. And so I am home, very luckily, because I was traveling like a ton. And I get a call from Emilio. And I'm like, oh shit, oh my God, I forgot to remove myself from the like doping pool. But I was luckily, you know, like 30 minutes from home, which is where I said I was going to be in my whereabouts. And so Emilio calls and I said, hey, Emilio, like I'm 30 minutes. I'm like in the car right now. I'm going to be there in 30 minutes. He says, great. I'm also going to be there in like 15 minutes. He knew the gate code to get into like the complex I live. He knew everything. So I'm realizing that like I had just gone to the bathroom, just peed. You're learning a lot about me in my like lot of bathroom heavy episode. I'll say that. So I realized like, okay, I should start drinking some fluids now because I want to make sure that like Emilio can get in and out of there. But I also am going to tell him like, this is the last time we're ever going to like do a test together. It's like happy and sad at the same time. My favorite Casey Musgraves song, and it's about this. Actually, I'm lying. This test was like well into the year. Because I remember that I was like so excited to see Emilio. I was going to show him my Olympic medal. I was going to show him my Dancing with the Stars trophy. And like we were going to have like a great like last nipple-to-knee experience together. And so what happened was I'm like, I need to start drinking fluids. Right? That's quite important. So I decide, what better way to drink fluids than with a Gatorade? So I pick up like a 0 sugar frost flavored Gatorade and I think the electrolytes are really going to help pump this urine through this body. And so I down this frosted Gatorade quick. I should get another bottle. I'm like stopping at a grocery store. And actually, no, wait, I did not stop at a grocery store. Why am I lying? This is crazy. I know I was at the rink and one of my friends, if you watch skating, Nathan Chen, he had some sort of he had tons of Gatorade bottle. And I was like, I need these two. I have to pee in front of Emilio one last time. And he's like, who's Emilio? He did not have the same agent. Okay. Doesn't matter. So I say, thanks, Nathan, for the Gatorade. I down the one and I go, I got to have another one. So I drink another one. And as I'm driving, I just feel like the frosted flavor of the Gatorade is like hitting my stomach in like a very odd way. Oh, that's weird. Ugh. Doesn't feel good. Whatever. I'm still trying to build a sample. I'll say, a wink. Build the sample. You know what I mean? I'm being so coy now, right? So I'm still trying to like get a sample together mentally. So I go home. I don't need to pee. I see Emilio. I let him into the house. I show him the medal. We chat. He asks how the Olympics were. I talk about Dancing with the Stars. I show him the trophy. I tell him about how I loved Stephen Colbert. Right? Tie into the beginning of the episode. Always good. So we start chatting, and I can start to feel that like I need to pee, but I'm also feeling something sort of in the back door as well. I'm feeling like the Gatorade hit me in a real odd way. Yeah, what am I gonna do? And I have to have this like real heart to heart with myself. And there's sometimes, and I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna be truly blunt. There are some times, and if you're not ready for it, you know what? You've made it 57 minutes. Love you to death. You can tap out now if you're not into poo pee pee stories. But if you are, buckle up, bitch. Here we go. So I can just feel that like, and we all know it, right? Where there's just sometimes, with this pee, there is a poo that has to come with. There's no negotiating with the body at this point, that you have to poo with this pee. And I'm just saying to myself, like, there's got to be another way. There's got to be another way. This doesn't have to be like this. I'm saying this to my body all internally. While in the meantime, I'm sitting having a cup of coffee with Amelia going, oh yeah, the Olympics were good. And I'm having this like internal battle with myself of like, no, you just pull it together. And I'm trying, I can feel and I'm going to say it, diarrhea. I can feel the diarrhea just getting ready to it's ready to go. The whole tank is full, both tanks. Whatever tank the diarrhea comes out of and the other tank for the urine. I have two full tanks of, I'm sorry, fluid. I'm really sorry, you guys. And I'm trying to, visualization is so important. It's key to being an athlete. And I'm trying to visualize sort of the dumping of the back fluid of, is there a way I can make diarrhea pee? Like I'm trying to visualize, like I know that the pipes in the intestines of the inner of our bodies doesn't work like that, but I'm really hoping that like my mind can kind of just like from one bucket to another, just like move the diarrhea to come out of my dick. Like that's what I want to happen. Only this one time, okay? Only this one time I want this to happen. Because if I need to do a diarrhea, that means that I'm going to have to, because like I said, Emilio can't leave. I can't leave his sight. I can't go, hey, sorry, I've got to poop, and then I'll call you in for the pee. We can do that one together like we always do. No. And so I am smiling ear to ear, talking with Emilio. And I think, I have a moment where I go, there's nothing I can do. There is absolutely nothing I can do in this circumstance. And I go, okay, Emilio, I'm ready to pee. And I am walking sort of like how a pirate would walk a prisoner to the plank. Because it's a death march. Because I go, I only have a few seconds left before I can be the first person to ever turn diarrhea into pee. And I haven't given up hope yet. And so, God, it's such a terrible story to tell. And so I stand in front of the toilet with my butt cheeks clenched because I'm going to pee into the toilet because I go, if I don't sit down, it won't come out. And I'll just cut to, I don't shit myself. Okay. It doesn't ever go there, but I'm standing nipple to knee, pants around the knees, shirt under the armpits. And I know that no, I know that I need to say the secret word to let the pee come out. And I know the secret word is this. I need to turn to Emilio and I need to go, Emilio, I've never had to do this in front of you, but I have to poop. And I'm so sorry. And I was really making it a spectacle because he's laughing at me at this point. And he's like, this is definitely not the first time it's ever happened. I'm like, this is not the way that I want to end this relationship. Now, you might think, oh my God, you have to poop in front of Amelia. Whatever. The real interesting part of the story comes now, because I'm not going to poop and pee at the same time. Like, I have to let one go and then the other. And sometimes you don't think about it until you really have to think about it. It's a chain reaction. Poop comes out, pee starts, right? I can't have that happen because I'm trying to keep some level of like decency and decorum in this like now completely lawless land that I'm living in. And so what I do, I decide, okay, I'm going to break this up into shifts. And I'm telling Emilio all about like my game plan. And my game plan is this. I'm going to do this sad diarrhea in front of Amelia. He's going to have to watch. And he did watch. He had to make sure it's his job. But I had to, I was doing double duty because not only was I had to focus, I didn't have to just focus on taking a shit in front of somebody and looking at them like I'm truly a dog pooping on the boulevard going, are you watching? Right? I'm doing that, but I'm also having to take my wiener and I'm having to like fold it in half like an envelope to make sure, like a garden hose, right? Like when you like get a kink in a garden hose, the water can't come. I'm doing that with my wiener so that the pee can't come out, because I'm not gonna then try to like take a shit and then juggle these like these A and B sample bottles. Like, we've just got to do this one step at a time. And let's just get the most humiliating part of this out of the way. So I finished the backdoor business. I finished the diarrhea. Okay. I finished that. I clean up. I go, I'm so sorry. And I'm choking out. Like, if my dick could breathe, I would have knocked it out. No air. So I do that. And then I go, I'll just, for old time's sake, I'll do it like I'm supposed to. So I take my shit, I clean my ass, I flush the toilet, and I stand up, and then I release the beast, 2 full A and B samples. And that's the last drug test I ever took. And the last drug test I ever took, I did do a diarrhea in front of my good old friend Emilio. And if Emilio, you're listening to this, I am sorry that we made eye contact when I did do that diarrhea. But I will let the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency know that there is no better agent on the block. And so, So have I taken a shit in front of somebody? Have I locked eyes with a person who's on the clock while I've taken a shit? Yeah. Not only that, I've taken a wet diarrhea in front of them. And on that note, what a really beautiful way to end this episode of Intrusive Thoughts. Please call in. Please call in. I'm going to get a follow-up on the medical spa of like, what was that business that got kicked out? Okay. They got kicked out. I'm good. I'm going to have to, I'm like so nervous. I'm going to have another Emilio diarrhea situation on my hands. I'll be fine. Now, here's the deal. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Intrusive Thoughts. Leave us 5 stars. It really helps people find the podcast. I've been doing so many guest podcast appearances to promote the show, which I'm loving, by the way. I'm loving doing all of the podcasts. I'm having so much fun. But now I'm starting to like pick up lingo that other people are using. And I really like that one. Leave us 5 stars. It really helps people find the podcast. And they just say it's so natural. And now I'm like, I've picked it up. I'm a true podcaster now. Yeah, leave 5 stars. I said that. Now, please call in. Leave a voicemail. You can call or text. And that number is 310-909-7117. I know this episode is like so long. And we've never... we have a really great text that we're going to do next episode. And so that we will get to the text messages. We haven't done any of them yet, but keep texting, keep calling. That number's 310-909-7117. I'll read one of them now. It says, hey, Adam, I never tried sending a text across the ocean. So sending love from Serbia, Elena. She's a triplet mom, appreciating your friends with babies. TikTok. Not TikTok. TED Talk. Good night. Sorry. I'm so flustered from like the criminal hijinks and the, bathroom escapades. We're huge in Serbia, by the way, everyone, which is really good to know. And Elena, thank you for the text. We have more texts to go through, more voicemails, but please keep them coming. 310-909-7117. I'll let you guys go. This is a long one. A real episode, a manic episode of Intrusive Thoughts. Leave us 5 stars. It really helps people find the podcast. I gotta go. So do you. Love you. And I'll see you next time here on Intrusive Thoughts. Bye, everybody.